What's up guys, welcome back to Deck Tech for Decks. Today we are doing our weekly budget build on Polukranos. Now, a little slow starting off, but once we flip this guy, this deck turns into a literal engine. All we're going to need to do is cast those Hydra tokens, or those Hydra creatures, for 1. And then when they enter the battlefield, they're going to die. A little weird, right? But hey, that's kind of what we're here for. And then when we die, we're going to get those 2 Hydra tokens. Then we play cards like Elemental Bond, so we're drawing 2 cards whenever those creatures enter the battlefield. And we additionally play cards like Soul of the Harvest. That way we're drawing cards whenever we're casting those Hydra spells. Now, this is going to churn us through our deck really fast. Then we can use some really niche cards like Ecological Appreciation to search up our entire library for all of the Hydras in our deck. Then we're casting them onto the battlefield, they're instantly dying, and we're just making a massive board while that happens. Then we include cards like Ascend from Avernus to bring all of our Hydras back from our graveyard to the battlefield, and then they all die again, and we're going to create a bigger board state. Now, it's a little weird strategy, and honestly, I think it's super unique, and I'm super proud of this deck. So, if that sounds like something you'd like to get into, let's get into it. Alright guys, let's go over that engine first. We have Elemental Bond, Guruk's Pack Leader, and Tribute to the World Tree. All of these are going to allow us to draw a card whenever those Hydras are entering the battlefield. Those 3/3 Hydras, right? And remember, every time we cast a Hydra and it dies instantly and goes to the graveyard, we're going to get 2 cards off of these. And additionally, if we have 2 of these onto the battlefield, we get 4 cards. And it really starts churning us through our deck. Rally the Ancestors, Ascend from Avernus, and Return to the Ranks. These are all solid cards we can cast for super cheap to bring our whole board of dead Hydras back from the graveyard onto the battlefield, only to die again and create a massive board state. Moorland Rescuer can also work in a pinch. Ecological Appreciation, a card we can use to tutor up all of those low-costed Hydras right into our hand. It's going to be super solid in the deck and honestly fits perfectly with this theme. Let's get into the Hydras. We have Capricopian. These are going to be the 1-drops, right? Super solid, 1 mana, they die, we get 2 Hydras. That's going to be amazing. Feral Hydra, Hungering Hydra, also 1-drops. The 1-drops are the most solid in the deck. Mistcutter Hydra, Protean Hydra, and Wildwood Scourge are also 1-drops that just enter the battlefield for 1 mana, die, and we're churning through our deck doing exactly what we want to do. Rinzrun Hydra, our last 1-drop. Again, these are the best cards in the deck because you just tap 1 forest, throw them onto the battlefield, and you get 2 of those 3/3s. Moving on to the less efficient ones, we have Genesis Hydra, Hooded Hydra, Neverwinter Hydra, Steelbane Hydra. Steelbane Hydra is one of those where you might just outright cast because you need to remove something, so it's a little, utility there. Vastwood Hydra, and finally we have Voracious Hydra. This one's another one where you might cast outright to remove something, and maybe you just need a big creature on the battlefield. Hydra Broodmaster, I included this in the deck because honestly, I love the card. I know it's not exactly great for 7 mana, you get 3 3/3s, but I figured, hey, we're casting it for 6, 7 mana's on the way, 3 3/3s isn't the worst, so I definitely threw it in the deck. Additionally, it's just a 7/7. Polukranos World Eater, threw this guy in there, it's removal. Also, it's OG Polukranos, can't knock it. Moving on to the core of the deck, we have Defiler of Vigor. Super solid with those Hydras that are 1-drops, we're just going to be able to pay life to throw them onto the battlefield, and then they die, and that's going to make our board bigger, because remember, we're already going to have those 3/3s onto the battlefield, so now we're buffing our board while we're doing exactly what we want to do. Dauntless Escort, we really need to protect our board because we're kind of like all eggs in one basket, So protecting our board is super solid, and this guy is not only de-incentivizing our opponents to target our board because they know we're just going to sack this guy and nothing's going to happen in response to what they're doing. Additionally, it's really good with the deck because we're bringing a lot of stuff back from the grave, right? So we can bring this guy back and use him multiple times. Champion Liamholt, this is going to be insane because every time we get 2 of those Hydras, we're going to have that other one dying, right? So basically 3 creatures are entering the battlefield whenever we're triggering our commander. The Hydra we casted and the 2 Hydras that we got off of that Hydra dying. So now we're buffing Champion of Liamholt to the moon. All we'll need to do is cast 2 Hydras. She's already going to be at 6 counters and our board is going to be unblockable. Super solid. Swiftfoot Boots, again, we need to protect our commander because honestly, it's kind of broken. Blossoming Bogbeast, a super budget Crater Hoof. I really like this guy. Gives everything +2 on its face, and if we do have some other ways to gain life, we can even go higher. Additionally, we're going to have 5/5 Trampler Hydras after this, which is going to be really good. Eternal Witness, just synergizes really well. Eternal Witness can get anything we need back from our graveyard. Sun Titan, again, just bringing those Hydras back to die again. This is going to be a consistent trigger. Additionally, if we do need to bring that Dauntless back, Sun Titan can do that as well. Genesis, another card that, like I said, brings something back from the graveyard to our hand. Super flexible. Feed the pack. I like this because if we do run into a scenario where our commander dies, we can start just casting massive Hydras and then sacrifice them to feed the pack to get an instant board state. Rootborn Defense, another solid card that's going to make our board indestructible while populating those tokens. Moving on to ramp, we have our turn 2 ramp with Rampant Growth, Selesnya Signet, and Arcane Signet. Additionally, we run Incubation Druid, super solid because we can go ahead and add a counter to this to make it tap for 3 mana, which is going to be super useful for getting our commander online. Nature's Lore, Secure a Tribe Elder, these are also going to be solid for that turn 2 ramp. Jaheira, Friend of the Forest, now we're able to tap those Hydras for mana, which is going to be super useful. Kodama's Reach, Cultivate, super solid cards. Not only do they guarantee your next land drop, but they also ramp you. Migration Path and Invasion of Zendikar, these are going to net you 2 lands to the battlefield. Additionally, we can transform Invasion of Zendikar into a mana dork, which is going to be super solid. Explosive Vegetation, just ramping up. And Traverse the Outlands. Our commander is massive, so throwing 6 basic lands onto the battlefield out of nowhere is going to be super useful. Moving on to card advantage, we have a Power Matters theme. With Greater Good, not only can this fill our graveyard for one of those huge Ascend from Avernesses, it can also just draw us pretty deep. Soul's Majesty, again, our commander is pretty massive, so this is going to be solid. Rishkar's Expertise, you get a free card off of it. It's basically the Soul's Majesty. Return of the Wild Speaker, double kind of utility here. We can either buff our whole board or draw a lot of cards. Hunter's Insight, another one we can use to draw a pretty good amount of cards. I really like this card because it's at instant speed, so whichever one they don't block, cast it on that one, and even if it's on the 3/3 Hydra, you're drawing 3 cards for 3 mana. That's as good as blue right there. Soul of the Harvest, Beast Whisper, and Primordial Sage, whenever we're casting those creature spells, we're going to be drawing those cards, and we're going to be casting a lot of creature spells. Tadias Juniper Ascendant, not only is this solid card advantage, but it's going to give our Reach Hydras basically vigilance, so we'll have them open for blockers. Rumor Gatherer, a super solid card, right? Whenever we're casting those Hydras, they die instantly. We're going to get 1 scry off of that, then we're going to create the 2 tokens, so we're going to draw a card and then scry again, really letting us ensure that what we have on top of our library is what we need. Moving on to removal, we have Reclamation Sage. Super solid. Masked Vandal, this is going to be really good because, again, it will be a Hydra, so whenever it dies, we're going to trigger our commander as well. Beast Within and Generous Gift, really good, really flexible. Getting rid of any permanent is amazing. Cleansing Nova, a solid board wipe. Azuri's Predation, not only can this be a really good board wipe, but it can also make our board massive out of nowhere. Someone casts an Avenger of Zendikar, you cast Azuri's Predation, and you just, flip the script. Onto Invasion, yes, it's expensive, but it's on a land. It blows my mind this is still a budget card. Next up, County Ambush. Super solid early game because it'll just be a land, and late game it can remove one of our opponent's key pieces. Now, that's going to do it for the deck tech, guys. Let me know what you think about it. I had a lot of fun building this deck, and honestly, I'm going to throw it together and test it out. I love weird strategies like this. As always, I hope this helped you in your deck building endeavors, and I'll see you in the next one.